Sand track should not be a problem for the Himi. Where does this lead to? We'll try. What is this? Like I've said earlier, if you are on sand, do not change direction quickly. Just go with the flow and keep a steady throttle. Body position is important, but more than that, momentum is. Oh, look at that, look at that, look at that. Wow! What would this be? Just like that, a lotus pond. As far as riding goes, the most important thing, if you guys ask me, is knowing your abilities as a rider more than the machine. The machine can easily take you anywhere, provided you are skilled enough to direct the machine to go anywhere, and picking the right line is imperative. Let's ride this and see. So second gear and roll-ons. Does this end here, or can I keep going? To some extent, maybe. Yes, I think there's still a bit of the track left. So this is where I am at now. Whoa, empty landscape has always been fun. Be very careful, doubly sure about tracks like these. Okay, seems to be a bit of a just like that, huh? Talk about exploration on the Himalayan. The Himi is just a fantastic bike, and it lands me in all sorts of places. It gets me to wherever it is that I want to go to, and just look at where I am at now. 2 blocks away from home, and I get to see all of this. Just look at the motor, man. I just go gaga over it every single time. Look at that beauty. Woo! Just look at that machine. Oh man, 3.5 years of owning you, I have only had smiles on my face. Thank you, Himi. Don't really know. I mean, see, many a times people end up wondering if I'm just overdoing it. I'm just talking about, after all, a machine with so much passion, and it just comes off as something that I'm trying to do for the sake of the channel. But for all the fellows who have known me from the past, even before the channel is just a year old. So for all the fellows who've known me before my YouTube career, they would know that I've been a mad freak. I've always been about me and my machines. All that keeps running in my head is machines. Nothing else but machines all day long. I don't really know if this is going to be taken in the right sense, but might as well give it a try. Don't mind talking about what I think about the product. So this is the Powertronic piggyback ECU from Race Dynamics. These guys make some fantastic piggyback ECUs, and yeah, sits inside these 2 envelopes. I'm not gonna pull it out and disturb it. Any which ways, I've spoken enough about it already. But any which ways, I see that there are still some fellas out here who need some more information about the product. And so here goes. Let me take. We'll run you through my experiences in the past with 3 different Powertronics. One on my Classic 500, one on my Continental GT, and one on the Himalayan. Why on all 3 Royal Enfields and not on my other motorcycles, if you will want to ask? If that's a question that comes up in your head, then that's only because I find that the fueling can be slightly better on the Royal Enfields, whereas I find the fueling to be apt, precise on the other motorcycles. So the number one reason why I got the Powertronic was to see to it that I have the right fueling as far as the lower RPMs are concerned. I wasn't really very particular about helping the higher RPMs out, is because I've done plenty of plug jobs in the higher RPMs, and I've always found that the Royal Enfield motorcycles run a decent air fuel mixture in the higher RPMs, and that's good for the engine. I mean, slightly rich, if you may ask me. So if you guys continue to ring the throttle and ride, you don't really have to worry about anything. The stock ECU and the fueling is intact. It will take care of your engine. Your engine will heat up less if you're on open throttle. You ride with 1/4 of a throttle the whole day, and then your engine will have problems. What Powertronic did was it gave me an option to customize my fueling depending on how I ride, and that was the end of it. Some months I spent on figuring out how much of a fuel increase should I go with, what kind of ignition should I be running, and I do not want to give away anything in terms of numbers, in terms of percentage, or in terms of how many degrees have I gone advance or retard. I don't want to talk about that, is because that's something that could get people in trouble. I do not want to promote a certain map that I am running. I have made some tweaks to the maps that those guys have provided. Like you guys know, they provide 2 maps. One is a street map, that is which boosts the lower end, and one is the top end map, that is which has fueling and advanced ignition timing towards the higher end of the chart, the map. And both didn't work really well for me with my K&N air filter and my Red Rooster free flow muffler. With the muffler, the back pressure just drops like hell, and the lower end just kind of sucks. So the whole idea to have these 2 components on the machine was to be able to get a Powertronic and then do the right kind of fueling and boost the power up by at least 2 horses. And it took me some time. It took me about 6 to 8 months to nail it down to where it is today. Today it is a motorcycle that completely listens to my inputs. I have absolutely no surprises. The machine doesn't really confuse me with fueling. Its understanding of fueling. This is a very slow and steady process. Do not end up assuming that, throw in the Powertronic and you're done. So maybe slightly increased airflow because of the K&N air filter, a faster airflow, and a faster airflow through the engine via the exhaust because of a free flow muffler. So this kind of required me to take care of my fueling as well, just to richen it up slightly, and maybe advance the ignition timing. Maybe I don't want to get into the figures, otherwise I would have opened up my map and spoken about my map in detail. It was a lot of trial and error, a lot of go, ride, come back, and then make tweaks, go, ride, come back, and make tweaks, and I've landed myself a map that I'm super happy with for my kind of use. Again, for my kind of use. So the channel is testimony to what I have managed to get out of Powertronic, is because I'm on this machine every single day, and this machine takes me just about anywhere. I am all the time roaming around, all the time doing things, and it has never once let me down. This machine I can trust and take to just about anywhere. I sit on it, start, and that's it. Only when I turn it off, it goes to sleep. I'll pull out a picture of my spark plug for you guys to see the condition of the fuel mixture inside the engine, and that is just spot on. I've done plenty of plug jobs at higher RPMs, at lower RPMs, just to see if I'm not messing things up. I mean, that's how I'm used to reading things. I'm a carburetor guy, I'm not a fuel injection guy. This is my third Powertronic on my third motorcycle, still light years away from understanding fuel injection and the way, you know, the ECU kind of uses electrical impulses to electrical signals, or you know, the current to play with the sensors and to get all of this working. But thanks to genius brains out there who put out stuff like this, that, you know, you can also end up becoming a little more involved in the process of tweaking your fueling. So again, as far as credibility of the Powertronic unit goes, 3 years later, maybe the third machine, 3 years later, all three machines put together, I'm just coming up with a ballpark figure. We're looking at least 60 plus thousand kilometers of use. 60 plus thousand kilometers of use, and all three machines put together is because this is the machine that has done the maximum mileage. The other two just did 10 and 15 or something. Anyway, so all three machines put together, 50-60,000 kilometers of use, and all three machines had Powertronic work like a charm. No issues. I have done extensive riding all over India and South India, on the Continental GT all over India, on the 500 and Classic 350, and so on and so forth. Rock solid build quality. The Powertronic unit sat in my what do you call that? The air filter box, the opposite to it. I mean, where all the fuses and the ECU sat on my 500. It sat on this side. It sat right underneath my tank on my Continental GTs, because there was absolutely no other way of mounting it on the Continental GT. I had to only do it. I had to tie it up with a zip tie to my frame, and then have my tank slide over it. So it took the heat of the engine. The Powertronic that sat in this compartment in the Classic 500, if you know what a 500 is and how it vibrates, it took all that vibration, performed flawlessly. On the Himalayan, it's the best place for the Powertronic, is because it sits comfortably here. And the only worry that I had was, how will the weight of the pillion kind of affect the unit? Will the pillion's weight crush the plastic on the Powertronic? Nope, nothing. I just made some whoa, did I get? Nope, nothing. So what I did to just be doubly sure about the way the Powertronic sits here was, I included a small whoa, that's dirty as hell. I will try and clean that up. So so this is it. Oh man, that's what happens when you just go ahead with a wash and come back home and start working on the paint work instead of doing this bit also. Very important that you take care of every single nook and corner in the machine, and not just aim at what is for display. So yeah, this was my genius idea, a yoga mat, and has about 5 millimeter of thickness. So this sits here, and my Powertronic unit, which is enveloped nice and tight, sits here on top of that. So even if there's some pressure going on top of the unit, the compression is very well managed by the foam layer. So that's that. Now, as far as Powertronic retailing for 18,000 rupees goes, I don't know. Again, I don't know how much is worth it and how much is not worth it. If something that retails for 18,000 rupees, you expect it to give 10 horsepower, then I think you don't understand how engineering and machines and the internal combustion engine works. It's always in increments. There's no sudden radical jump, and you have to start making changes to every single component in there to be able to get that kind of horsepower. And then you're looking at the cost of the machine in total. I mean, when you combine all the components that you've changed to get that kind of horsepower, the only reason why you get yourself a Powertronic is that when you start making tweaks, when you start throwing in an open filter, that is a high flow filter, you have a muffler, a free flow muffler, you have better spark plugs, better ignition cables, maybe you have tweaked your compression ratio, you've just kind of skived off about 0.5 mm of the bore, and then you've kind of increased your compression ratio. And maybe if you've just kind of had a camshaft, a performance camshaft with higher duration or longer duration, and if you have I mean, the transmission, of course, you can have stiffer springs, and you can have better clutch plates, and so on and so forth. The only thing that the Powertronic does is it helps you with fuel, ignition, control. You can go ahead and make tweaks to the fueling at different throttle openings, and you can make tweaks to the ignition. You can forward it. Of course, you'll only be able to forward it. You don't want to retard it on this machine unless you have done major changes, but most of it is going to be forwarding it. And so that's all that the Powertronic helps you with, and that is why it is amazing, is because it gives you an open platform now to make your own customization to the maps. Otherwise, this is a closed circuit map. All the data that goes around comes around through the oxygen sensor. So with the addition of the Powertronic, you've kind of made yourself an open loop map, where the kind of map that you want the machine to run is what it runs. And see, these I could just go on and go on, and you will. So whether it's worth it or not, it's your opinion, personal take on the subject. 18,000 rupees, take that out of the equation. Do you want to make tweaks to your motorcycle? Do you want to start playing with fueling? Do you want to add components to it which will affect the existing fueling? And so you want to correct it, and you want to get a slight better control over your fueling in your motorcycle. Get yourself a Powertronic. Simple as that. But if you want the motorcycle to interpret fueling for you, ignition timing for you, then leave it the way it is. And for this, you need to understand so much more. You need to read, get educated on the subject, have enough experience working on playing around with jets and needles and the carburetor, to then move on to fuel injection, and then have some understanding of the fuel injection. It's a huge subject. So yep, for all the fellows who think that a Powertronic is going to aid the other additions to your motorcycle, go get yourself one. And for all the fellows who have no idea of what a Powertronic does to you, it does nothing for you. Your stock motorcycle is good enough. So I'm going to call it quits here, and leave you with that, leave you wondering whether you should read and get educated on the subject, and have some trial and errors with your motorcycle, and then maybe get yourself a Powertronic, or just leave it as it is. Go enjoy your motorcycle for what it is, and stop worrying about a Powertronic ECU on somebody's motorcycle. Let that be there. So yep, this is Ben. Ben is going to be heading back on this track. We are going to figure some more nice places out, and we'll see how things go. Hello. Hi.